Hello, everyone. My name is Mark. Welcome back to another Marvel Legends Fantastic Four First Steps action figure review. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the wonderful figure that has the likeness of Vanessa Kirby. Such a beautiful woman, I'm not going to lie. But we are going to be taking a look at her figure this time around. Like, look at her. She's so pretty. She's like one of the prettiest women out there, and I like it. But I really like the way that the figure looks. It did look a little bit odd in the actual reveal of the figure. There was like 3 different color hairs. Like the hair sculpts was like 3 different colors. It was weird. But it's really interesting they didn't do a like transparent version for her to be like invisible. But maybe we will get it in the second wave. Who knows? But without further ado, let's take her out and see how she looks. Alright, so here we have the Invisible Woman figure, which is interesting that in this instance, they're calling her the Invisible Woman, when she in fact is not the Invisible Woman, of course. When we have the Human Torch and Johnny Storm. It's a very interesting way of them actually talking about it. I think they definitely could have gone as like Sue Storm if they wanted to, but I think Invisible Woman is just more of a recognizable name, especially for her character, which is unfortunate. I think her as a character is really cool. She is kind of like the co-lead of the Fantastic Four, which is really nice. And it was mentioned that she was going to be kind of like the main leader of the actual team in the movie, which I think is really cool. I have no issue whatsoever with that. Now, aesthetically, it is pretty much the same exact suit as Johnny Storm, just again different proportions and some different sort of like, I kind of like stitching in some areas. So, like for example, the legs are different, which is very noticeable when you actually have them side to side. And then, of course, the kind of like the top is also slightly bit different. The gloves are very similar to each other, which is to be expected, and they all have the wrist band over here as well. The boots are also different too, and of course the collar. She's the only one that has the collar on the actual top. There's no sleeves going down that are white or anything like that, but she looks beautiful. Well, not, I don't want to show her pure chest. There you go. So her face actually looked really good. Definitely one of the better printed faces from Marvel in recent times, and I gave this compliment to the Silver Surfer, which again, also a really good face, especially for the actress. So again, aesthetically, she looks really good. Now, there are a couple of things that I do have issues with this figure specifically. Again, most importantly, is part of the articulation. So when it comes to the head, she is on a hinge, but oh, well, she popped out. There you go. There you go. So when she has a hinge, and she can't really move her head forward that much because she does have the 2 strands of hair right here kind of blocking her. They are soft enough where you can actually kind of bend them a little bit, but they're not going to give you that much range. And you might actually pop out the head like I did as well. Like she kind of pops her head out pretty easily. Now, moving back, it's nearly non-existent. It's non-existent pretty much. Again, they should be using soft plastic for this. It is soft plastic, but this is still hard enough for them to not move. Unfortunate. Looking side to side is also a bit of an issue, which again, it really just comes down with the way that the hair is designed for these figures. She definitely has a higher or better than a T-pose pose, which is really nice. Butterfly joints non-existent. 360 degrees rotation for the shoulders. Bicep swivel, which do rotate all the way around. Double jointed elbow, which actually don't look that bad. No wrist swivel, which is unfortunate, but a wrist hinge for the hand. Something to note that the hand she comes out with directly off the package does not have a wrist hinge right here. And I think I'm gonna do this real quick. I think that's better. Yeah, there you go. That's a little bit better. Maybe? me see. Yeah, I think I'm gonna keep it that way. So again, she has a solid piece for the hand here. Again, still trying to fix my lighting. I know it's been kind of annoying lately because of me not actually being able to do it. But yeah. Now, for the diaphragm, she can go back pretty far, which is typical for any female action figure. It's the same for the female Silver Surfer. They're pretty much practically the same in terms of the sculpt. She can go forward slightly, which is nice. She does have that little bump, of course, but it's not as noticeable as the previous Silver Surfer that we took a look at. She does have a waist swivel. Fantastic. That is pretty fantastic. So she does have a pivoting action for the diaphragm, of course, which is really nice. You can actually get her into some decently nice poses. Now, you can actually modify these figures fairly easily by just cutting a little bit of the ring of the ball joint for it to actually have a little bit more movement in the peg section. Not the actual ball joint, but the peg. That way it can actually move more freely. Now, for the legs, she does the splits pretty good, but you might have noticed this little, nick on the legs. Yes, unfortunately, she can barely kick forward, and if you try to push it, you're scraping the plastic together to get her to be at most 90 degrees if you fix the legs together like this. If it's completely still, it's less than 90. Which is unfortunate. That is definitely something that we didn't see with the Silver Surfer. Granted, this one does have a slightly different cut for the pelvis section, so they're completely different. They should have definitely cut up a little more, and it actually would have been perfect. Maybe if you are a modder and everything, you can definitely do that, but yeah, it's unfortunate. Thigh swivel, which works perfectly fine. Double jointed knee, which it can look better, but it works. And of course, a foot hinge going forward that far, backwards this far. Now, no foot swivel, no boot swivel as well. So again, couple of issues with this figure, but it is still a really good looking figure nonetheless. Now, accessories. For the accessories, we do have the invisible shield that she looks to be making in the movie, and we do have a grasping hand for a cylinder, and then also a closed fist. So she doesn't have any pairs of hands. She just has 4 different hands, which is very interesting because at least each figure so far has come with a pair of hands. So her being the first one to not have a pair of hands is interesting. So yeah, lackluster accessories as always. But again, maybe when we get an actual transparent invisible woman, we might get a little bit more accessories with her, with whatever she does in the movie, if we get to see that there. But we'll just have to wait. So, going into my final thoughts, unfortunately, I think this is the first one that I'm going to have to give somewhat of a low score. So, overall, I'm going to give this figure a 6 out of 10. Now, the reason for it is, again, she looks fantastic. And that's not to be funny, to make a pun. She does look great. She looks amazing in terms of the action figure. But there's so much lack of articulation here. The legs, by far the most disappointing part of the figure. Again, not crunching forward that much is also always an issue. And then the head sculpt, always with Marvel Legends, they can't do soft plastic right, which is unfortunate. So I think a 6 is sufficient for this figure. I'm a little bit disappointed, but she is kind of alongside with her brother Johnny. So yeah, although I know I gave Johnny a 7 because of bias, but he technically is a 6 as well. But that's pretty much all the time I have for you guys today. Let me know what you guys think about this figure. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Let me know that in the comments below because I love to hear your thoughts. But besides that, like and subscribe and all of that sort of jazz, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.